For many years, Hollywood's most mysterious icon has allowed the internet to fuel its craziest theories, from being an ageless, undying time traveler to those quiet, persistent whispers behind closed doors. But the wait is now completely over. Keanu Reeves has finally broken his famous silence, stepping into the public eye to address the one rumor fans never stopped discussing. Here is exactly what he revealed and what it means for the man who continues to reshape the rules of celebrity. Keanu Charles Reeves came into this world on September 2nd, 1964, in the historic city of Beirut, Lebanon. His mother, Patricia Taylor, was a British costume designer and stage performer who happened to be working in Beirut when she crossed paths with his father, Samuel Nolan Reeves Jr. His father was an American from Hawaii, carrying a rich and diverse background consisting of native Hawaiian, Chinese, English, and Portuguese roots. Because of his paternal grandmother's Chinese heritage, young Keanu spent his earliest years surrounded by a home filled with traditional Chinese artwork, beautiful furniture, and authentic cuisine. His mother also made sure to instill in him proper English manners, a polite and gentle way of speaking that he would proudly carry well into adulthood. But beneath this fascinating blend of global cultures, a serious storm was quietly brewing within his family life. His parents' relationship ended rapidly, and they officially separated in 1966 when Keanu was barely a toddler. Following the split, his father chose to walk away from the family entirely, leaving Patricia as a single mother responsible for raising Keanu and his newborn younger sister Kim completely on her own. This sudden abandonment meant that Keanu was only 3 years old when his family fell apart, forcing his mother to pack their belongings and seek a fresh beginning somewhere new. She relocated the small family first to Sydney, Australia, and then into the fast-moving energy of New York City. The surroundings kept shifting, and so did the parental figures in Keanu's life. In 1970, while living in New York, his mother married Paul Aaron, a talented Broadway and Hollywood director. Hoping this new union would bring lasting stability, the family relocated once more, this time settling in Toronto, Canada. Unfortunately, the marriage was short-lived, and the couple divorced just 1 year later in 1971. Despite the quick separation, Paul Aaron stayed incredibly close to Keanu, stepping up as a life mentor, offering him valuable guidance, and eventually recommending him for his very first theater opportunities. By 1976, Keanu's mother married again, this time to a rock music promoter named Robert Miller. But this relationship also came to an end by 1980. Because of this ongoing cycle of moving and new stepfathers, Keanu and his sisters grew up mostly in Toronto's Yorkville neighborhood under the frequent care of a nanny. To escape the disorder of his ever-changing household, the young boy found comfort in watching British comedy programs like The Two Ronnies and letting his imagination wander freely. Meanwhile, his biological father had completely disappeared from the picture. The very last chapter of their relationship took place on the Hawaiian island of Kauai when Keanu was 13 years old. On their final day together, they sat on a porch and gazed up at the dark sky in almost complete silence, with his father barely speaking a single word throughout the entire evening. The following morning, his dad dropped him off at the airport, and Keanu never heard from him again for a decade. Samuel attempted to reconnect with his son one final time in the 1990s, but the wounds of abandonment ran too deep, and Keanu chose not to respond before his father sadly passed away in 2018. Reflecting on the pain, the actor later admitted that the experience was deeply hurtful, though he noted it was difficult to measure the true damage because he simply had no idea what a normal, stable life was supposed to look like. With his home life in constant survival mode, the classroom became another enormous challenge. It is difficult to picture a confident global movie star feeling unsure of himself. But things were genuinely tough for Keanu in school. He was dealing with dyslexia, a learning condition that makes reading, writing, and processing text feel like a constant uphill struggle. Because he had such difficulty reading, he was not a strong student and continuously felt like an outsider among his peers. To manage that deep sense of loneliness, he turned to imagination, spending his free time bringing fictional characters to life as a way to escape his real-world anxieties. His conduct in school was not smooth either, as he was a quiet kid who was also a bit too energetic for his own good. He had a tendency to speak out of turn too often, admitting himself that he was far from the most polished person in the building. This combination of learning struggles and behavioral issues caused him to move through 4 different high schools in Toronto. At one point, he was even fully expelled from the Etobicoke School of the Arts for his disruptive behavior. Amidst the academic setbacks, Keanu discovered a powerful outlet on the ice. While attending De La Salle College, he became an exceptionally skilled ice hockey goalkeeper. He was so outstanding at stopping shots that his teammates gave him the nickname The Wall. Keanu developed a deep passion for the sport and had genuine aspirations to compete for the Canadian Olympic team, even earning recognition as a legitimate Ontario Hockey League prospect. But just as a promising athletic future seemed within reach, a serious injury ended his hockey career, forcing him to completely reinvent himself. Fortunately, he had already uncovered a second passion. At the age of 15, he performed in a school play, and the love for acting ignited instantly. To keep his dream alive while working within the school system, he transferred to Avondale Secondary Alternative School, which generously allowed him to pursue his education while taking on professional acting roles on the side. But by the time he turned 17, the frustration of traditional schooling became too overwhelming, and he made the final decision to leave school entirely. Dropping out was not a failure. It was the ultimate leap toward his true calling. Using a green card obtained through his American director stepfather, a 20-year-old Keanu packed up his life, left Canada behind, and drove straight to Los Angeles with nothing but an old car and a burning ambition. Even though he held only Canadian citizenship, he was determined to make Hollywood recognize his talent. The relentless effort paid off quickly when he secured his very first professional appearance in a 1984 episode of the comedy series Hanging In. The boy who struggled to read the blackboard and was thrown out of school used those very emotional wounds to build a raw and authentic vulnerability that captivated audiences around the world. He refused to allow a broken childhood, an absent father, or an incomplete education to define his potential, ultimately using his turbulent past to completely rewrite the story of his life. Keanu Reeves did not burst onto the Hollywood scene overnight. When he first entered the industry in 1984, he was simply another ambitious young actor pouring everything he had into developing his craft. He developed a deep love for classical theater, studied rigorous performance techniques, and actively pursued professional training. Fortunately, his mother fully supported his dreams, and his director stepfather used his industry connections to help the eager young actor gain his first opportunities. After a series of minor television roles, Keanu finally appeared on the big screen in 1986. Hollywood quickly recognized his natural screen presence when he portrayed a deeply troubled teenager in a heavy dramatic film, followed by a moving performance as the son of an alcoholic father. These early dramatic roles demonstrated that he had genuine depth, but it was a light-hearted, unexpected sci-fi comedy in 1989 that entirely changed his trajectory. Playing a notoriously dim-witted time-traveling high schooler, Keanu captured a one-of-a-kind kind of magic. The film became a massive and enduring success that introduced his signature laid-back charm to mainstream audiences. Despite his growing fame, Keanu's career became a fascinating contradiction. Critics frequently attacked his acting abilities, dismissing his performances in psychological thrillers and calling his attempts at historical accents dull or unconvincing. Even fellow actors openly ridiculed his talent in their published memoirs. Keanu himself was his own harshest critic during those early years, confessing in a candid interview that he often felt uncertain and sometimes even resented the process of acting. Yet Keanu possessed a rare and resilient quality that his critics completely overlooked. In 1994, he entirely transformed his image by portraying a fearless bomb disposal expert in a high-energy thriller. The film was an enormous box office success, successfully reinventing the soft-spoken actor into an action hero. This momentum paved the way for the defining moment of his career in 1999, By stepping into a mind-bending cyberpunk world as a trench coat-wearing savior, Keanu reached an extraordinary level of global stardom. The groundbreaking sci-fi classic became a cultural phenomenon, launching a massive franchise and securing his place in cinematic history. Throughout the decades, Keanu consistently refused to be confined to a single category. He continually shifted between genres, moving from sports dramas and romantic comedies to dark comic book thrillers. He even stepped behind the camera to make his directorial debut with a martial arts passion project. Just when the industry assumed he had peaked, he stunned everyone again in 2014 by portraying a lethal, laser-focused assassin. This legendary anti-hero breathed fresh life into the action genre, igniting a hugely successful multi-film universe. Now, operating at the height of his powers, Hollywood's most mysterious icon continues to expand his legendary legacy. He has recently contributed his iconic voice to major animated blockbusters, video games, and comic book adaptations. He also completed highly anticipated projects, including a dark comedy about a Hollywood star confronting his past and a fantastical satire where he plays an awkward guardian angel. By continuously reinventing himself, the boy who once struggled to read his lines has spent over 40 years completely redefining the rules of global celebrity. Regardless of whether you love or dislike his movies, there is absolutely no question that Keanu Reeves is one of the most wholesome and warm-hearted human beings on this earth today. The beloved star has won the hearts of millions around the globe, not only for his extraordinary portrayal of a legendary cinematic assassin or a trench coat-wearing savior, but for his remarkably gentle nature, sincere humility, and genuinely down-to-earth personality. In a world full of disconnected celebrities, Keanu stands entirely apart as a true source of light. His warm, everyday interactions with complete strangers and quiet moments of quiet generosity have frequently gone viral, producing iconic internet memes that only strengthen his reputation as the internet's favorite gentleman. Yet, when you examine closely the sheer amount of heartbreak and physical suffering this man has silently carried throughout his life, his consistently optimistic outlook becomes genuinely moving. It seems that from his very earliest days, the poor man simply could not catch a single break. His entire life story reads like a series of devastating hardships that would have broken most people. Keanu has survived catastrophic physical harm and endured the kind of crushing emotional grief that leaves permanent marks on the human soul. But instead of allowing these enormous challenges to make him bitter or resentful, he has remarkably managed to transform his deep pain into a powerful and inspiring example of grace and resilience. A significant part of Keanu's legendary strength can be traced directly back to his absolute passion for motorcycles, a high adrenaline hobby that has left his body covered in serious scars and battle marks. He is a well-known daredevil on two wheels and has endured a long list of painful injuries, including multiple broken ribs, fractured teeth, and severely torn muscles. Perhaps the most terrifying accident of his entire life took place on a notoriously winding and dangerous stretch of road leading into Topanga Canyon. Keanu was out on what he later described as a reckless and wild ride when he completely misjudged a sharp bend, traveling far too fast before losing all control and flying off his bike into the darkness. In that instant of sheer terror, he genuinely believed he was about to die. The injured actor landed hard on the pavement and spent 30 agonizing minutes lying completely alone on the asphalt, calling out for